Hello. So, the inner child and shadow work. This video is about those two things and how those two things are interconnected. One cannot be without the other. That's what I believe. It feels important to say that when we talk about shadow work, to me, one of the most important aspects of working with your shadow is healing your inner child. And oftentimes I've seen that your wounded child becomes your shadow. Your childhood trauma becomes your shadow. The neglected inner child becomes your shadow. So a huge part of your shadow self is indeed wounded child, your inner child. That's why it's super important to meet your shadow fully. You need to understand your shadow. You need to listen to your shadow, because if you do not listen to your shadow or try to understand your shadow, you're turning your back to your inner child. It's equivalent. It's almost the same as, let's say, there's a kid at daycare or at school, and he's or she they are acting up, let's say, and their grades are bad, and they don't want to eat any food, and they don't want to interact with other kids, or they're bullying other kids, or they are physical with other kids or students. And the result to that is to just discipline or put them in some sort of isolation or detention, etc. But we are not asking the child why are they acting the way they are. Now, what tends to happen is that child or young adult teenager starts to act up even more, and this happens even with adults. If we do not try to understand and ask and find the root causes to things, they are just gonna magnify the issues, the problems. Behavioral problems are gonna magnify. So indeed, this is why shadow work is so important. And it's so important to heal the inner child, because your healed inner child, in my understanding and belief, holds the key. I don't know why I'm doing this all the time, but your healed inner child holds the key to your life's purpose. And life purpose to me doesn't need to be anything grand. It can be, and to some people it is, but to me, life purpose is just you living a life that is fulfilling, and you having the life you deserve, you being happy, you not living in fear, you not acting out of fear. That is purposeful living. So intentional living, I suppose we could also say. And the healed inner child is the key to that, because your inner child knows. They got all the answers. They got all the answers. A weird thing happened to me very long time ago when I was in this meditation. And what happened during that meditation was that I started to see this orange light all around me. I saw this orange light. And I slowly started to open my eyes. And it was almost like I was opening my eyes for the very first time. And I saw myself outside of myself, and I was a child in a womb. And I was in the womb, and it was like the fetus or the child me that was in the womb was telling me everything. Like my womb self, or however I saw myself in that meditation, knew why I was coming to this earth or in this life. And they were at total peace. Like I've never felt so much knowing and peace, and just it's even hard to describe, but think about a feeling where you just know everything. And I'm not even like talking about keys to the universe or how the world works, but just you just know yourself completely. And you have no fear whatsoever what's going to happen to you in this lifetime, what challenges you may face, because you know that everything is written in the stars, let's say. You got all the answers. You do. That's how I felt in that moment. So back to the inner child, the closer you are to your inner child, the closer you are to the truth. The truth comes from the child's mouth. We say in Finland, totuus tulee lasten suusta, which clumsily translates, truth comes from the children's mouth. So it's super important to not think, when we talk about shadow work, for this very reason, because of your inner child, here I am again doing this, because your inner child, it's super important for you to not think in terms of I'm shedding my old self, because I feel it's super popular to think about shadow work and kind of ascending to your higher self in steps where you're shedding something all the time. Like I'm shedding the old me. Now I'm more evolved me. I'm 2.0. This is my final form or whatever. But the thing is, you can't shed anything. This is just what I believe, but I feel like it's almost redundant to think in ways of shedding. You need to think in ways of integration. You want to integrate. You want to understand. You want to mend. You want to become one with all parts of yourself. It's almost like thinking in terms of timelines, and there are versions of you that exist. Your shadow selves and your higher selves, but they're all the same person. They're just on different, learning curves. And your job is to kind of get them all in the same room, in essence. So I often see quotes like, like I just mentioned, like I shed my old self, now I'm somebody else, but you're always yourself. You're always you. There's no leaving behind or, you know, going somewhere where there's a different you. You're already there. You're there right now. You're enough right now. You just need to understand. You just need to know that everything you need is here right now. And it's a thought process. Because of course you gotta do the work, and of course you gotta evolve and maybe, you know, start making better choices. Essentially, you have to make different choices, but that all comes from you. There's no there it's just, I just do not describe to the idea of old you and new you. It was always you, and you're enough, and you got the keys to the universe, to yourself. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. um I hope you have an amazing evening or morning or whatever time you are currently experiencing. And I'm gonna start watching Vampire Diaries. And peace and love. Bye. What was that? I don't know. Bye.